Everyone. Shavua Tov. Good evening. So glad to be with you today. It's the last meeting that we're having in the year 5780. And as you all very well know, this year was not for anybody in the world, a wonderful year. On the other hand, when we look at things in a different perspective, it's a year of incredible testing. It's a year of probing into ourselves, into our heart, into the way we feel about the world, into the way we relate to the world, into the way that we look at each other, respect each other, love each other, give each other space, credit, you pick it, everything is contained in this year. This finishes a Torah book, a Torah cycle, the fifth book of Moses. And on Friday, Shabbos, and Sunday, we celebrate the entrance of 5781. To me, 81, it's a 1 year, it's Einod Milvado, there is no other than Hashem. And to me, it's the beginning of a great opening, a great change, and it's the year, it's the day of the beginning of the world. Rosh Hashanah is our New Year, Jewish New Year, but in reality, it's not our New Year, it's the new year and the creation of the world. On this day, Adam was created, and with him, the world was created. You know, there are so many things that happen. My WhatsApp account was just hacked. I have no clue what's going on, who would do such a thing, but I'm just so naive about so many things, and I never, ever suspect anybody of doing anything bad. But all the time, I'm being proven wrong, and I'm being shown that to fight evil and to make sure that evil does not exist in your life is a job that needs to be done and needs to be taken care of every moment of every day of your life. And you know what? Every moment and every day of your life belongs to Kadosh Baruch Hu, belongs to Hashem, belongs to God. And every moment that you're alive, and every experience that you have, and every connection that you have, and everything that you have, belongs not to you, but belongs to Hashem, and it's a gift that every moment of every day you need to say thank you and be grateful and never, ever, ever take for granted not the people that are around you, not the people that are not around you, but in your life in some way, and to always remember that the other person has feelings and has emotions and has needs and has incredible qualities. We're in the last day of the life of Moshe Rabbeinu, of Moses. Moses knows that he will die. Moses knows that this is his last address to his people. We don't know. So every day is the last day. And every moment can be the last moment. And every action that you take can be the last action. Moses knows, and Moses does what a great leader would do. And he begins with the declaration, you are standing firmly, Nitzavim, today, all of you together before God, your God, the heads of your tribes to your water drawers, in order to bring you into the covenant of God, your God. Standing in front of the entire people, the entire children of Israel. In front of God, being told and being imbued by God's message to the children of Israel. Torah goes to explain all of you together are divided into the heads of your tribes down to the water drawer, and each of them with his distinct capacity and his special endeavors is brought into the covenant with God. Each individual endeavor, whether by one who belongs in the category of your heads and acts like a head, or in the category of water drawers and acts as such, is an expression of the total covenant of all of you with God, your God. Each one has a special divine assignment according to his stature and station in life. And in this way, when each and every one carries out their assignment, the complete unity of the Jewish people, all as one, and all is one, is achieved. Excerpt from a public letter written in the days of Slichas in 5731, 49 years ago. You're standing firmly today all together. All together means unity. All together means three musketeers. One for all and all for one. Do we live that? Is that the unity that you see around you in the Jewish community? Do you see that unity in the world? Do you see that unity in your family? I mean, go into the smallest part of your world. Do you see this unity with your friends? Do you see it with your teachers? Do you see it in your school? Do you see and do you understand what that unity means? And we're talking here the unity with God. In order to bring you into the covenant of God, your God, and his oath, which God, your God, is making with you today. Do you have any idea what this means? Forget about you for a moment. Leave your ego behind. Stand in front with all of the people, all of the children of Israel, and realize you are there. This is in order to establish you today as his people, that he will be your God as he told you, and as he swore to your forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and that he will never swap you for any other nation. No matter who comes along, no matter who makes him a better offer, he will never swap you for anybody. I am not only making this covenant and this oath with you, but with both those who are standing here with us today before God, your God, and with those in future generations who are not here with us today. Me. He's making the oath with me. He's making it with you. I don't know who you are, but he's making it with you just like he's making it with me. We are the future generations written in the Torah. And then Moshe goes into the whole conversation of how we began with Egypt and how and what we did in Egypt and how we followed and how we did and how we were wicked and how we didn't listen. So perhaps there is among you a man, a woman, a family, or a tribe whose heart is straying today from God, our God, and does not want to enter into covenant with him, but would rather go and worship the gods of those nations. Perhaps there is among you a person growing in wickedness, like the root that is sprouting bitter herbs like hemlock and wormwood, such that when he hears the words of this oath, he will think that they don't apply to him. And he will convince himself in his heart, saying, I will be okay, even if I follow my heart's desires. To such a person, I will add to the punishment of his sins, which were done inadvertently, as if in a drunk stupor, a further punishment for his sins done intentionally out of consciously thirsting. God will not be willing to forgive him. Rather, God's fury and his zeal will then fume against that man, and the entire curse written in this book will come down upon him, and God will obliterate his name from beneath the skies. God will single out him from all the tribes of Israel for severe treatment, according to all the curses of the covenant written in this book. Is that clear? I mean, you don't have to be a Torah scholar, a brilliant mind, a sage, to understand these words of Torah. You have to be an absolute blooming idiot not to understand them. Why? Because he's speaking your language. He's speaking my language. He's speaking to me. He's speaking to you. The later generation, your descendants who will come after you, along with the foreigner who comes from a distant land, will say upon seeing the plagues of that land and the diseases with which God afflicted it. Sulfur and salt have burned up their entire land. It cannot be sown. It is unfertile, and not even grass will sprout on it. It is like overturning of Sodom and Gomorrah, which God overturned in his fury and rage. All the nations will say, why did God do such a thing to this land? What caused the great rage of fury? Then they will say, it is because they abandoned the covenant of God, the God of their fathers, which he made with them when he took them out of the land of Egypt. For they went and served other gods, prostrating themselves to them, gods which they knew were devoid of divine power, and which he had not apportioned to them. God's fury raged against that land, bringing upon it the entire curse written in this book. God uprooted them from their land with fury, anger, and great wrath, and he cast them to another land where they are to this day. If you will say, since this punishment will come upon us even if an individual is harboring thoughts of idolatry, What hope is there for us? My response is, not mine, but Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses. The hidden things in one's mind are for God, our God, to deal with privately. But the revealed things, where people's sins are known, are for us and for our children forever to deal with and enact justice to fulfill all the words of this Torah. You know, I speak to a lot of people, and living here in Reggio Calabria, in Italy, no one around me is Jewish. But what I can tell you is that in so many ways, the righteous Gentile is greater by far than the wicked Jew. And the soul of the Gentile that is just and kind and loves his fellow is greater than the wicked, miserable, speaking lashon hara, evil tongue, going and doing evil things. Big destruction of the internal fiber of Eretz Israel. As a Jew, that is worse by far and will not be forgiven. Obviously, Hashem says so. So, wouldn't it make sense to anybody who understands a minimum to get that there is a reason for 613 commandments, there is a reason for kashrut, for keeping kosher, there is a reason for Shabbat, there is a reason for every single solitary thing written in the 5 books of Moses, written in the Torah, and written in the last 2 chapters, and then in the final song, of course, it would be a song, because singing and song and bringing out song from your neshama is the most beloved after Ketoret of Hashem. And so he says, Hashem tells Moses at the end, just before his death, now write this song, sing this song into the ears of every single person within the people of Israel, so they will never, ever forget. ingathering of the exiles. What will happen is when all these things come upon you, while you are among the nations where God, your God, has banished you, the blessing and the curse which I have set before you, you will take it to your heart, and you will return to God, your God, with all your heart and with all your soul. You will listen to his voice, to everything I am commanding you today, you and your children. Then God, your God, will return your captives from exile, and he will have mercy on you. He will gather you again from the nations where God, your God, has dispersed you. Works that are happening in our lifetime, in our generation. Hashem is gathering neshamas from all of the parts of the world, from the most remote angles of the world, and he's bringing them not only back to the land, but he's bringing them back to the essence of their neshamot, of their souls. Because generation after generation, the soul belongs to Hashem, has the spark of Hashem. And even though you may have forgotten who you are and have lost yourself in the myriad of what is the world, your soul hasn't forgotten. Your soul inside you, alive and well and attached to Hashem at all times, never loses its attachment, is looking to come out. Psat ruling of the Rambam, that before there can be a kibbutz galuyot, an ingathering of the exiles and a rebuilding of the Beis Hamikdash, the temple in its place, there has to be a complete return to Torah and mitzvahs while Jews are still in exile. And it is this that is the prelude and preparation to redemption. Excerpt from a letter written by the Rebbe on the 21st of Menachem Av in 5728. And he finishes, may God grant that each and all of us in the midst of all Israel should be inspired with true heavenly inspiration to walk in the ways of Torah and to mend its fences, for it is this that will prepare the way for Mashiach, for the Messiah, to implement all conditions necessary to bring about the true and full redemption. Even if your exiles will be on mountains, reaching the extremities of the sky, God, your God, will gather you from there and he will take you from there. God, your God, will circumcise your heart and the heart of your children, enabling you to love God, your God, with all your heart and with all your soul, for the sake of your life. For the sake of your life. God, your God, will place all these curses upon your enemies and upon those who hate you, who have pursued you. You will return and listen to the voice of God and fulfill all of his commandments, which I am commanding you today. God, your God, will give you prosperity in all your work and your hands and the fruit of your womb, the fruit of your livestock, the fruit of your soul. For God will once again rejoice over you, being good to you, as he rejoiced over being good to your fathers. For then you will listen to the voice of God, your God, to observe all his commandments, rational and super rational, written in this Torah scroll, and will then return to God, your God, with all your heart and with all your soul. And then he goes on and he says, for this body of commandments, which I'm commanding you today, is not concealed from you. It is not far away. It is not in the skies. It is not in the sea. That you should say, who will go to the skies for us to take it for us, to tell it to us so we can keep it? Nor is it across the sea that you should say, who will cross the other side of the sea for us to fetch it for us, to tell it to us, so we can keep it. Rather, this thing is very near to you, in your mouth, in your heart, to observe it. It's not far. It's not far away. It's right here with you every single moment of every single day of your life. And up for you to take. See, I have given you today a choice of life and good, and death and evil. If your heart strays and you do not listen, and you turn away and prostrate yourself to other gods and serve them, and the other gods are all of everything that you serve: money, materialism, wealth, you know, everything I'm talking about. I don't have to enumerate. I am declaring to you today that you will definitely perish. You will not live a long time on the land of which you are crossing via the Jordan to come and take possession. I am calling upon heaven and earth, which are eternal, as witnesses against you. I have set before you a choice of life or death, blessing or curse. Choose life. Then you and your children will live. To love God, your God, to listen to his voice and to cleave to him. For he is your life. And the length of your days, I have the chills. To live on the land which God swore to our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to give to them. Where is free choice? Everything is already written. How you get there is up to you. And if you don't do it in this life, you do it in the next, and in the next, and in the next, until you get what Hashem created your neshama, your soul, to be. Nitzavim, you are standing firmly today, whereas Vayelech, just the opposite. It's moving. Yet, the two parashiot, the two portions, should really be one. There's much to say. Much. We're reminding you again. We're at the end of the 5th book of Moses. Moses knows he's going to die. Today I am 120 years old, and I'm no longer permitted by God to lead you out to war and to bring you back safely again, even though I am physically capable of doing so. God said to me, you may not cross the river Jordan. Listen carefully. It is God, your God, who will take you across the river. He will destroy these nations before you so that you take possession of this land. And it is Yeshua who will lead you across as God has said. God will do to them what he did to the Amorite, to Sihon, to Og. It will be destroyed, and God will deliver them to you, and you should do to them in accordance to all the commandments that I have instructed you. Be strong and courageous. There is no room here for the faint-hearted. Each one of us, every Jew, is a warrior. and has to be, because our lives are a continual fight, a continual fight against the onslaught of idolatry and the defense and the standing firmly with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, with Hashem. Do not be afraid or dismayed because of them, for God, your God, is the one who is going along with you. He will not loosen his hold on you and forsake you. Do not therefore lose your hold on him and forsake him. One follows the other. Moses calls Yoshua, and he says to him in the presence of all of Israel, be strong and courageous, for you will come with this people to the land which God swore to their fathers to give them, and you will apportion it to them as an inheritance. It is God who will lead you forward. He will be with you. He will not loosen his hold on you and forsake you. Do not be afraid or dismayed. Then Moshe wrote down his entire Torah and gave it to the priests on behalf of the descendants of Levi, who carried the Ark of God's covenant, and to all the elders of the Jewish people on behalf of the Jewish people. Look, to live this, be courageous and do not be afraid. There are rabbis in the world today who are saying, don't wear a kippah. Do not be afraid. There are people who hide their Yiddishkeit, their Jewishness. Do not be afraid. In either case, one way or the other, history, remembrance, memory, call it what you like, of our people has shown that there is no such thing as hiding your neshama, hiding your soul. There is no way. How many people converted? How many people ran away from being Jewish? How many people, how many myriads of neshamas are lost to us? How many? Where are the people that Hashem said, I will make you as the stars in the sky and the sand of the sea? Where is it? You're the smallest people in the world. Where is it? Do not be afraid and be courageous. This is not the memory of our people. At the end of 7 years, in the year following the sabbatical year, during the festival of Sukkot, the festival of huts, I suppose, all of Israel should come and appear before God in the place that he will choose. The king should read the Torah before all Israel in their ears. Assemble the people, men, women, specifically mentioned, men, the women, the minors, and the converts in your cities, in order that they will hear and in order that they will learn and fear your God and be careful to observe all the words of this Torah. Their children who do not understand will hear and learn to fear God, your God, all the days that you live on the land of which you are crossing the Jordan to take possession. This is called Hakel. And the Rebbe writes in Likutei Sichot in volume 19, page 369, Hakel is a rare case when the Torah specifies even small children are obliged to observe a biblical command. For Hakel is a mitzvah which arouses and strengthens the inner faith of a Jew. And in this area, men, women, and children are equal. It's great. Totally, totally, totally. Heart and mind and emotion and soul have to work together in order to understand the extraordinary gift that Hashem has given to the Jewish people. God said to Moses, "The time is now approaching for you to die. Call Yeshua and stand in the tent of meeting, and I will encourage him." God said to Moses, "You are soon to lie with your fathers. This nation will rise up and desire to follow the gods of the people of the land into which they are coming. It's already known to Hashem. He already is aware. There are no secrets whatsoever. They will forsake me and violate, following the gods of the people of the land into which they are coming. They will forsake the covenant which I made with them. On that day, I will become very angry with them. I will forsake them and hide my face from them, appearing as if I do not see their distress. They will be consumed, and many misfortunes and traumas will happen to them. On that day they will say, is it surely because our God is no longer among us that these evil has befallen us? I will surely hide my face on that day because of all the evil they have committed when they turned to other gods. What does this mean? What does this mean? Why are we praying every day? Why are we doing mitzvahs every day? Why are we, during these days before Rosh Hashanah, Ashkenazim started on Motzei Shabbat, on the end of Shabbos, with slichot, with penitence. Sephardim started on the 1st of Elul. We are praying for forgiveness. Does that mean our prayers are in vain? Does it mean that Hashem is not listening? I will surely hide my face on that day because of all the evil they have committed when they turn to other gods, to other gods. Does that mean that nothing that we're doing has any meaning whatsoever? No. It means that every moment of your life, Hashem wants you to come back, to return, to do tshuva, and to come back to Him, to listen to His commandments, to fulfill His commandments. He knows who you are. He knows everything about you. Whatever it is that you're thinking right now, believe me, He knows. He says, now write for yourself the song in Parshas Azinu and teach it to the children of Israel. Place it in their mouth so that the song will be for me a witness to the children of Israel. When I bring them to the land which I have sworn to their forefathers, a land flowing with milk and honey, they will eat, be satisfied, and become fat. Then they will turn to other gods and serve them, angering me and violating my covenant. And then He tells you precisely what you can expect. The misfortunes and the traumas will happen to them, the song which warns them. The song which warns them of the consequences of their actions will speak out to them as a witness, for it will not be forgotten from the mouths of their children, for I know their inclination, that they are planning to do today, even before I bring them into the land which I swore to them. On that day, Moses wrote down the song and taught it to the children of Israel. God commanded Yehoshua, the son of Nun, and said, "Be strong and courageous, for you will bring the children of Israel to the land that I have sworn to them, and I will be with you." With all of what we just said, and all of the anger and the wrath we have incurred, at all the moments that we live in our existence, be strong and courageous. I will be with you. Trust, belief, total commitment. I will be with you. Then when Moses finished writing the words of this Torah until the very end in a scroll, Moshe commanded the Levites who carried the Ark of God's covenant, saying, "Take this Torah and place it beside the Ark of the covenant of God your God, and it will be there as a witness. For I know your rebellious spirit and your stubbornness. Look, even while I am alive with you today, you have been rebels against God 40 years. Surely you will be after my death too." You know what you do. You know your ways. You know the importance of everything that we've talked about. You know everything that you've learned. You know everything that you've thrown away. You know everything, and everything that you know is written in your neshama, is written on your soul, in your heart, in your mind. The truth exists, and you know it. And you also know that it is your choice to throw it away. You also know that it is your choice to eat tray. And you know it is your choice to marry a non-Jew. And you know it is your choice not to educate your children. You know all of this. Hashem says, "Gather to me." And Moses says, "I will speak these words of the song of Hasinu into their ears. I will call upon the heavens and the earth as witnesses against them, for I know that long after my disciple Yehoshua's death, you will surely become corrupted with idol worship and depart from the ways which I commanded you. Misfortune will inevitably come upon you in the end because you did evil in the eyes of God to provoke his anger through your actions. And into the ears of the entire assembly of Israel, those who stood there and those who are the generations that followed them. He spoke Hazinu into their ears. I think I'm going to read this to you because I think it's so important. Now, maybe not. Maybe not. It is so important that you go on the internet or you go to your library and you pull out the Pentateuch. You pull out the Chumash. You pull out the 5th book of Moses. And you sit yourself down and you spend 15 minutes, a half an hour, and you hear with your soul and with your mind and with your heart the words of Hazinu, which are a conglomeration and which are the essence of the entire Torah. And when you understand and you hear Hazinu inside yourself, all of the questions that you might have will immediately be answered. We're standing at the door. We have nothing to show for ourselves. You know what we have? We have our soul that is connected to Hashem. That's what we have. And that is enough of a stimulus to change your ways, to go with a resolve into the new year that En od milvado, there is none other, that all of the riches of the world fly away in a second. We've seen it this year. We've seen the world turn around 360 degrees, somebody who was a multimillionaire. Today, chas v'chalila, God forbid, people overnight lost their businesses. Look at what's going on in California. Look at what's going on with storms and with hurricanes and with fires. And look at what is really happening in the world. Nobody in the press talks about this is the hand of God. Nobody talks about this is the wrath of God. But this is the hand of God. And this is the wrath of God. And if you read, and if you give yourself an hour, 2 hours a week to sit down and study Torah, and you begin to understand what you are causing with your behavior. Maybe you won't cheat somebody the next time. And maybe you won't sell him something that isn't yours to sell. And maybe you will think of the next rash word that you will say to somebody. And you will think of when you speak of telling the truth to somebody that might need to hear them. And maybe you think of what is necessary for your neshama to be strong and to be connected, literally, consciously, to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to Hashem. I wish you Shana Tova u'metuka, ksiva v'chasimat toiva, a sweet and happy and healthy and blessed new year. That you should be inscribed in the book of life, and that we all should be inscribed in the book of good deeds, happiness, joy, fulfillment, health above all, and that we should all see the incredible power of Hashem and bless His holy name every moment of every day for giving us all the good that He gives us. I thank you for your kindnesses, for your caring, for your coming along with me on this incredible journey. You can always go to YouTube because I don't know what's going to happen to my WhatsApp, but all the videos, 200 and something of the whole cycle, are on YouTube. Miriam JASKIEROWICZ, ARMAN, very simple. And obviously, for next year, Bezrat Hashem Yitbarach, we will talk next week, Tuesday, about Hazinu, but we will also talk about the 10 days of the 10 days of awe, and we will talk about Yom Kippur. So, Shana Tova, and have a beautiful, happy, healthy New Year. Shalom. Peace.